My name is Beatrice Zaslow, Z-A-S-L-O-W. I was born in the Bronx, New York, on March 24th, 1914. I was married exactly 45 years to Gerson Zaslow, G-E-R-S-O-N, Zaslow. And unfortunately, he died. And so I'm a widow. We were both working, but in different places. But at that time, you could go away like for a weekend on a Saturday at noontime to a small place up in the country and just spend the rest of the Saturday and Sunday there and then go home. And we met in a place like that. Just went up for a day and a half. Our first real date, he took me to lunch because he was going to be having work. He was a certified public accountant. He was going to be working at a client down near where I was employed. So he called me up and took me to lunch. And then our first date was at the World's Fair in Flushing Meadows. Well, when we first started going out and he was talking, he figured, he didn't say anything about anything. In the course of conversations, he had said, well, he needs 3 years, to establish himself, and so forth and so on. So of course we were married within the year. Oh, I was not such a young. I was 22, 23 when I got married. Yes, which I suppose in those days was a little older than some people did. Yes, but I lost nothing by waiting. I had two, Stephen and my daughter Natalie, who's here. I have 6 grandchildren, of whom 4 are married. Another one will be married April 19th, and the 6th one is Sarah, who is going to be moving to Chicago with her boyfriend. Well, I guess you have to be strict about some things, important things, but you got to learn to slide past the things that you can't keep saying no, and you can't keep saying you can't do this or you can't do that, unless it's important. You gotta not sweat the small stuff. It was not a big one, but it was a formal one, and it was in a place that was geared for just a wedding. It was in the winter time, and we didn't have much time for a honeymoon because we were both working. So we just took a day or two, and then we went on. And later on, toward the summer, when we were entitled to vacations and stuff, that's when we went away together. More so. Yeah. But in the course of my life, both of us, my husband and myself, we were very active. We both played tennis. We both swam. I was interested in some organizations. He was very tied up with business. He was a certified public accountant. And I came to learn a lot of things. Many times, though, somebody would come up in a financial matter, and he'd start explaining it to me. And I'd say, oh, but you know about it. And he said, you have to know everything I know about our finances, which was a good thing, because when he died, I didn't flounder. I mean, I floundered on a lot of things naturally. But one of the things that did not worry me or upset me was the financial picture, because I had a pretty good picture of what was going on. I was very fortunate. My parents had a very happy marriage. They seemed to be very well suited. My father unfortunately came from a very poor home. If he had been a rich man's son, he would have been a scholar, because he loved learning. I remember him getting up early in the morning before going to business to read and to study. He read the St. James Bible, he read the Koran. He was interested in a lot of things. Unfortunately, he didn't have the luxury of being able to follow what he would have liked to do maybe in all those things, but he was very active, and he learned a lot of things about the world. My mother was perfect with him. She managed us very well. He was a very warm father. It was a warm household. It was a happy household. And I think I credit that mostly in my being kind of happy and trying to have the same kind of happy household when my kids were small. And even in those days, which wasn't as fashionable then, my husband did take a part in child rearing and in relating to them. Well, in those days, you know, a lot of husbands, a lot of fathers didn't pay as much attention to the children as they do nowadays. I think it's a good thing that they do now. I'm as happy as I can be without him. I mean, I still lead a pretty active life. I play a lot of bridge, go to theater, go to the opera, go out to dinner, have friends. And of course, the main part is I have my family, my 2 children and my 6 grandchildren. They are very, very supportive. And I tell them so. Well, I think that one of the most important things in a marriage is communication and the willingness to compromise and hear the other person's side. That's the main thing. And of course, you have to come to some agreement as to your finances. You have to have some of the same outlooks as to finances and how you raise the children, what your standards are. I don't know that I have enough wisdom to pass on, although I've lived many years. I think it's important to be involved in the rest of the world, not just each other, but I know that they are. And it's good to have friends. It's good to move in the world. And sometimes it's good for each of you to have maybe 1 or 2 activities that is only your own, and then have a lot of activities together. I don't know what else I can tell you. And that's about it. That's my 96 years.